Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Mental Wellness Wake-Up Show, a weekly podcast where growth-minded, creative people come to learn best practices from both spirituality and psychology that create lasting well-being. I am your host, mental wellness expert, improvised acting teacher, therapist, and coach, Dawn McMillan. Let's get to it. So I get a daily text from a woman named Elizabeth Pyjov, Pyjov. And a while back, she sent this thought: we respond to the world with whatever emotion is at hand. Ooh, that slapped me across the face. Whenever I have a moment of like, dang, I know it is something to look into a little bit more deeply. We respond to the world with whatever emotion is at hand. So what that means is and I believe it, and I agree. When Professor Life comes along and puts a little pressure on you, what comes out? There's some parable or story about, you squeeze somebody, and if you get orange juice, then that's what's in them, or lemon juice or whatever, blah, 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 fill in the thing. But the notion is, under pressure, what comes out of you? Under pressure, or when you're exhausted or tired, what comes up? We respond to the world with the emotion that is at hand. So if the emotion at hand is outrage, then how easy is it to lose it when somebody cuts in line in front of you? If the emotion that's readily at hand is self-compassion, how easy is it to have compassion for the person that cut in line ahead of you? Clearly, they're either really busy or so caught up in their thoughts that they just didn't notice. Maybe. Rage, grief, self-pity, sadness, joy, despair, love. When you're under pressure, what emotion comes up first? Or which emotions are coming up most often? It's food for thought. And I have some ideas about what to do about that. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time. Like, yeah, Dawn, you always say that. But I always mean it. This relationship is entirely voluntary. I show up here because I want to, and you show up here because you want to. There's something really beautiful about these relationships that are made purely out of choice based on desire. No duty, no obligation, no have-tos, no shoulds, just want to. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you for supporting the podcast financially. Thank you for supporting the podcast by sharing it, listening, subscribing. It's all really beautiful, and we continue to grow. And that's all you. So let's talk about emotions. We have been under the misapprehension for a very, very long time that there are two choices with emotions. One, suppress them. And boy, howdy, do we love to suppress our feelings, squash them like bugs, stuff them down, hold them at bay, pretend like they don't exist, numb ourselves out so that we can pretend like they were never there to begin with and they have nothing to do with us. Oh, a feeling's coming up, let me scroll. Oh, a feeling's coming up, let me overwork. Oh, a feeling's coming up, I think I'll go run 100 miles. So we think we need to suppress our feelings. And part of that is because so few of us have any good examples of how to express feelings. Sadness, anger, and love have been, in my experience, the emotions that are most often suppressed. We don't want to let people know we like them because we are afraid of rejection. We don't want to allow our anger to exist or come out because our examples of anger are people being violent, either emotionally or verbally or physically. We don't want sadness to appear because we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to let people know they can get to us. And certainly, big girls don't cry. Boys don't cry. Sadness is unwelcome. Get over it. That was yesterday. Move on. So we suppress our emotions. And in response to that, we've had this whole other moment about expressing them. And while it is true that suppressing our emotions isn't helpful, expressing them isn't always helpful either. We've talked about this a little bit before. I just want to touch on it again. I think we don't understand what expressing our emotions is. So what happens is the emotion arises and we throw gasoline on the fire of that emotion with our thoughts. We throw gasoline on the fire of our emotions with our thoughts. Sadness arises and we're like, oh my God, I'm so sad. Everything is terrible. I can't believe this happened to me. And then we feed the emotion and feed the emotion and feed the emotion until it becomes overwhelming. And because it has become overwhelming, we then go back to fearing our emotions and suppressing them. We come to believe that if we allow ourselves to feel that emotion, it will never stop. That is not true. Emotions are short-lived, really. They're messengers. If you think about a messenger in real life, like the point of a messenger isn't to come from the run from the other kingdom to tell you that the hay bales that you ordered are late, and then stay and move in with you and just keep reminding you the hay bales are late, the hay bales are late, the hay bales are late. Like imagine if you order from an online store and the UPS driver, rather than giving you the package and leaving, gives you the package and then just stands there holding the package and sort of slapping you around with it. That's what we kind of do with our emotions. It's a messenger, and messengers don't stay long. And so I've been doing some research on emotions, and organic emotions, a couple minutes max. The ones that we've been suppressing since we were 3, grief especially, can last for as long as 90 minutes. You're like, wait, what? You want me to sit there and feel grief for 90 minutes? Yeah. Because here's the thing. Your emotions are there, and an emotion unfelt is an emotion that controls you. A feeling unfelt is a feeling that controls you. There's that great quote from Carl Jung, something like, until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will control your life and feel like fate. So stuffing your emotions down because you're afraid to feel them doesn't make them go away. It makes them control your life. In acceptance and commitment therapy, in ACT, the baseline understanding from relational frame theory is that there are 2 problems, 2 causes of suffering: cognitive fusion and experiential avoidance. What does that mean? We think we are our thoughts. We think we are our feelings. We identify with them. My feelings are me. I am my feelings. My thoughts are me. I am my feelings. And we arrange our lives out of trying to avoid the undesired inner experiences. I don't like the way that feels, so I'm going to do everything I can to avoid that feeling. So what's the alternative? What's the alternative? If I'm telling you don't suppress, and I am telling you don't express your feelings, what am I telling you to do? Let's talk a little bit more about expression. Expression comes off like venting, right? Or yelling, or screaming, or crying, or I'm just staying in the negative ones, freaking out. The technical term, right? So if the emotion you're trying to avoid is fear and you're like, I just got to feel it, then what can happen is the fear arises and we fully have a freak out because the way that we're expressing it is by indulging it. So what am I saying to do instead? Feeling a feeling, and I want to change my language at this point. Allowing an emotion is not about indulging it. It's simply about allowing it to exist until it doesn't anymore. Experienced meditators will have an edge on the rest of us because the trick is you notice where in, on, or around your body that emotion is located. You cannot have an emotion without a bodily sensation. An emotion is a thought plus a bodily sensation. So you notice where the sensation is located. You allow it to exist while ignoring your thoughts. Ignoring isn't exactly the right word, but it's the closest I can come. So here's what not to do. I'm noticing sadness is present. Oh my God, everything in my life is terrible. I've lost everyone I've ever loved. Oh no, da da da. Those are the thoughts. And experienced meditators will notice that you can have thoughts without entertaining them as if they're real, true, or important. So you sit and the thoughts float by like leaves on a river, like clouds in the sky. You are the mountain, the thoughts are the clouds. They float by. You don't attend to them. You're not even actively ignoring them because that's suppression. Excuse me. You allow the bodily sensation to exist. You allow the thoughts to exist without aligning, agreeing, resisting, or reacting. You hold the sensations and the thoughts the same way you would hold a wounded bird in your hand, open and gently, until the bird recovers and flies away. Okay, what about the rest of us? This is where verbal processing can come in. One of the reasons I love TFT, thought field therapy, or my own system that I've created and refined called comprehensive tapping technique, which is based on EFT, TFT, and TTT, all the tappings, is that it gives your brain something to do while you are allowing that emotion to process. Glenys Hughes says that like a brain is like a toddler with a machete, right? You can't just take the machete away. You got to give it a toy so it doesn't run amok. So one of the beautiful things about the tapping techniques is that it gives your brain something to do while your nervous system processes through the emotion. So I highly recommend TFT or my system, CTT. All right. You're like, this is a podcast. How are you supposed to tell us about that? Let's go to verbal processing. Verbal processing can be very helpful for allowing emotions to exist without aligning or agreeing or resisting or reacting, because the verbal left brain dominant culture that we live in gives the brain the illusion that it's the boss of you and it's getting to do something. So three ways that I have come across that are very helpful for verbal processing in order of simplicity. The first one is simply cancel, delete, release, and let go. So let's say I'm noticing that, let's go with shame. Shame is present. So in my body mind, I experience shame as like a tightness at the bottom of my throat, like right around the collarbone, like a little tightness in my throat, a little tightness in my chest. So right around the collarbone, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm noticing that shame is present. Gently put my hand on the spot where I'm feeling that sensation. And whatever comes up, Cancel, delete, release and let go. Thought. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Cancel, delete, release and let go. Who the heck do you think you are? Cancel, delete, release and let go. And in my body mind system, I know I'm done when I yawn. And I tell my clients this all the time. They'll start yawning. I'm like, yes, yes. Because a yawn is antithetical to a trauma response, right? Nobody yawns when the saber-toothed tiger is leaping at their face. So if you are yawning, that means that your nervous system is resetting. So that is a clue for me. You may find another sensation. And you're like, how long am I supposed to do that? Up to 90 minutes for the really deep stuff, until you feel a shift or you get tired. And then you just keep doing it. So let's say disgust, right? Disgust occurs for me kind of solar plexus-y, like right at the upside down V of my ribs. So put a hand over that and be like, ugh. Disgust is present. Actually, it's a little more throaty too, but let's pretend some other feeling in my gut. Thought comes, ew. Cancel, delete, release and let go. Ugh. Cancel, delete, release and let go. Okay? That's the simplest one. Sedona method, which was created by Lester Levinson, who achieved enlightenment through releasing in like 3 months. Cured his body, and then made the system that's been around for probably 30 years now, maybe longer. When was the 70s? Hale Dwoskin, Dwoskin, is now the keeper of the Sedona method techniques. And it's about releasing. All of this is about releasing, allowing and releasing, and allowing and releasing, taking the package from the delivery driver and putting it away. Oh, let's go with that analogy. You get the package, you open it, and then you put the baking soda, whatever you just ordered, away. You dispose of the packaging in an environmentally friendly way, and you're done. Allowing, releasing, and letting go. Allowing, releasing, and letting go. The Sedona method in its most simplest form is, what are you noticing? What are you feeling? Could you welcome or allow that feeling as best you can? And could you let that feeling go? Would you? When? And could you let go of any need to keep or control that feeling? Would you? When? And one thing that happens when I use that process with clients, a lot of times the first thought that comes up is, could you let that feeling go? And it's like, well, I want to, I just don't know how. The beauty of the Sedona method is it kind of works even if you have to bypass that a part of you, that deeply fearful part of you that rises up and doesn't think it's possible. And we are left brain dominated people in this culture. As I'm speaking, it's 2023 in the United States of America. And we've kind of infected the rest of the world with our with our points of view. Very, very left brain dominated. And that's where the ego lives. And the left brain is completely convinced that it is in charge of everything and that it knows everything. And we've talked about this before, and there are all kinds of experiments about just what a controlling, justifying part of us it is. So when you're like, could you let this feeling go? There's a sense in which the part of you, the ego's like, no, it's mine. Like those seagulls in Finding Nemo. Mine. I don't want to let go of anything. It's attached. It thinks it's it. It created it. It's like your left brain's like, I made that and it's precious and important and I'm not giving it up. That's okay. Even if the answer is, could you let that feeling go? Is no. just keep going with the process, because the parts of you that want freedom are listening and cooperating. Okay. What are you feeling? Could you welcome or allow that feeling as best you can in this moment? Could you let it go? Would you? When? Yeah. So the last one is a little bit more complicated, and I think we're going a little bit long. So I'm going to tell you what it's called. And if you want to look into it for yourself, please feel free. This one's new to me. I haven't mastered it yet. So I want to just let you know that it is called Logosynthesis, Healing with Words. And it's created by Dr. Willem Lammers. Dr. Willem Lammers. It's not logotherapy, which was created by Viktor Frankl, who's one of my idols, but logosynthesis. And again, it's that verbal processing, asking the self questions to allow feelings to come and go. So here, those are some ideas. I'm just looking quickly at my book here to see if there's something I can share quickly. Okay, yeah, we'll maybe get to that one on another time. Cancel, delete, release, and let go. It's amazing how much you can do that. But remember not to use force. Force is suppression. Force is suppression. Listening to your thoughts as you feel your feelings is leaning towards expression, is leaning towards throwing gasoline on the fire. This is a very, very gentle process. And if tears come out of your eyes, cool. If you cough, if you yawn, if you feel like you need to do jumping jacks, that's all okay. It's all okay, because these feelings want to deliver their message and leave. That's their job. Let them do their job. Gently, gently, gently. I invite you to be so gentle with yourself. If beating yourself up worked, you'd be perfect by now. So let that go. Could you let the belief go that you have to beat yourself up in order to change? Would you? When? And could you accept and allow that you are whole, perfect, and complete just the way you are, even as you're letting go of the experiences, the emotions, the thoughts that have piled onto you by your programming, your conditioning, that does not undermine you being whole, perfect, and complete, just the way you are. And you, beloved, gorgeous being that you are. Yeah, I said gorgeous. I can see you. I can't see you, but I know you are. I can just tell. Are worthy and deserving of all the good there is, even that which transcends your own imagination. If you're listening to this in real time, I hope you are celebrating all of the various holidays, these winter holidays that celebrate light. And if you don't celebrate one of those holidays, make one up for yourself. Light a candle, invite some friends over, and bake cookies, because shedding light in the darkness is a time-honored way of reminding ourselves that spring will come, both literally and metaphorically. All right, until next time. I am so honored that you share time with me. If you've listened this far, then something here was of value to you. Would you please be a friend of the podcast and share it with at least one other person? The podcast is available on most platforms, including YouTube, and I need your help to get the word out. So please like, subscribe, and share, and a 5-star review on iTunes would be chef's kiss. Thank you so much. See you next time.